From Wish TV and the All Indiana Podcast Network, this is the Business, Equity, and Opportunities Podcast with Scott Sander.
Welcome to the Business, Equity, and Opportunities Podcast. I'm Scott Sander. On this episode,
we have a success story to share. For the last 26 years, TechPoint has honored tech innovators and development leaders at the annual Mira Awards. It is an opportunity to salute the most innovative people and companies contributing to Indiana's tech ecosystem. We've selected the Resilience Award winner, NIDA ANSARI, to highlight as our success story.
Every business is unique and has a target audience. If you own or manage a business, Circulus Digital Media can help you connect and grow your customer base with turnkey digital solutions that are nimble, offering best-in-class results, service, and support to reach a bigger customer base, allowing you to pinpoint a specific audience down to the smallest details. Get outside the city, the state, span the globe. Put Circulus Digital Media to work for you. Get started now at circulusdigital.com. That's circulusdigital.com. This is Business, Equity, and Opportunities. Success Story.
It was extremely unexpected, an honor. I was humbled. There were 16 other nominees who had stories equal to mine. Everybody's got one. I think it was validating to a degree to know that the judging panel and whomever heard my story heard it. When the day I got it, I kind of said, I feel seen and I feel heard, and it's completely true. I think that's all what any of us wants. So at the basis of it, that's how I felt. To tell that story was really personal. And I mentioned earlier when we were talking that I haven't told that story before. I didn't tell that story at all. To a degree, I don't know if I felt like it wasn't relevant, but it turns out that it is. It's a part and parcel of who I am. It's a huge part of my experience. It took me 19 years to become a citizen. That's a large swath of my life. It predicated what jobs I took. It predicated where I lived. So in no small way, it also predicated whether or not I kept the job, because if I didn't, I would have had to go back home to Pakistan, where I had never meaningfully lived. So it means a lot to hear from the tech community that my story was important, and ultimately the impact and the role I play in the tech ecosystem is seen. We moved here February 2001, which was 6-7 months before 9/11. We moved here with a different plan in mind. At the time, you could become a citizen within a few years of having jobs and being productive members of the community. We also moved as a Pakistani family from the Middle East to right outside of DC. And so when 9/11 happened, I'm 7 months in, I don't know what's happening. I hear and see it on the news, but I meaningfully don't know how it's going to affect our lives. We got to a point where you heard about it. We had neighbors across the street who had their home raided. The Patriot Act changed a lot of things for us. It changed my immigration path. I ultimately then ended up becoming an international student at a private school in Southwest Virginia called Roanoke College. Academically, my plan didn't change. I was a chemistry major, but I found myself in rooms talking about things that I didn't expect to be talking about. All I wanted to do was, I was here to go to school and get a job and do normal things, and I was being asked to represent myself in a way that I didn't know how. So I had an identity thrust on me in a way that I didn't ask for, but I also didn't know how to wear. And I think that's part of the reason why I haven't talked about it until recently, because when you're an immigrant in that way, you kind of are coming here for a different life. And when you come here, you're like, all right, I'm here, let's go. You roll your sleeves up and you work. But when unexpectedly you're put into a room and asked to represent, or asked to lay low, or asked to be less or more of something that you didn't know you were to begin with, that becomes a different conversation. That becomes a formative period in your life in a way that no one asks for. I moved here and I'm now college educated multiple times over, right? Immigrant, there are folks here that don't have that benefit. There are people here that are specifically in Indianapolis. We have a large refugee community here. That informs a lot of what I do outside of work. I'm on the board of the Immigrant Welcome Center. We're doing our biggest fundraiser is coming up on April 17th called Live Local, Think Global. We hope our community comes out to kind of share stories and hear about immigrants and refugees that are in the Indianapolis community making meaningful difference to the Indianapolis community. A lot of immigrants and a lot of refugees, in fact, pay taxes and are economically viable members of this community in a way that we don't always appreciate. So we're hoping to highlight that in a bigger way. As a college-educated immigrant, it clearly puts me in a different bracket, one that I'm very, very fortunate to be in. So when I think about it and put it in perspective that way, there's worse stories out there. It did take me 19 years to become a citizen. My brother still isn't one. So even within my core and nuclear family, we're in different places. So that's not something I can shut my eyes and not think about. But having to talk about it feels different. Helping people and connecting them to resources they need. So that could be putting the meal packs together, that can be connecting an entrepreneur to an investor, or I connected an entrepreneur in the Bay Area recently to a lawyer here in Indiana, and they're gonna help them through a bunch of legal paperwork and all that stuff. We found a Guatemalan passport on the street in the city a few weeks ago. We didn't know where to take it, and so we reached out to the Immigrant Welcome Center, and they were able to give us formal guidance on what to do with it. That felt gratifying because it was a closed loop. But yeah, in general, I think it's understanding that we can make a difference in small and big ways. And that connection is extremely important to be able to do that, right? So the fact that I have somebody to call when we find a Guatemalan passport, it's such a niche situation. We were able to help that person out, hopefully, right? But that ripple effect, that butterfly effect, it extends pretty far and wide when we think about geographies. If I'm able to pack a meal here that eventually gets distributed to somebody in South Sudan, the fact that I've helped in any measurable way, whether it's putting a grain of rice into a bag, been able to put food on the table for a family in South Sudan or Yemen or Pakistan, there's nothing better, honestly.
Our thanks again to all the contributors who joined us for this episode of the Business Equity and Opportunities podcast. We hope you found it enlightening, useful, and inspiring. You'll find more information about the show on our website, BEOshow.com. You can watch Business Equity and Opportunities Sunday mornings at 10 on Wish TV or live stream it through wishtv.com. Each week we provide 7 full segments with topics ranging from how to get started and how to access capital to the day-to-day running of your business and questions about accounting and bookkeeping. We feature business news and trends and always share a success story from one of our contributors. Join us next time for more insights into the world of small business. Be sure to sign up for our Business Equity and Opportunities newsletter to get even more valuable, up-to-date information. And if you have any questions or you'd like to be part of our show, please email us. The address is beo@wishtv.com. We'd love to hear from you. I'm Scott Sander. Thanks for listening.
Watch the Business Equity and Opportunities show on Wish TV and access all of our content and share it on demand anytime at BEOshow.com. You can find more podcasts from Wish TV on the All Indiana Podcast Network at allindianapodcastnetwork.com.